Yes, I've asked Johnny Miller. Johnny, if you'd come just right up here behind Willie, if you would. And I've asked Johnny to say our prayer, longtime friend from Electra, Texas, very involved with the hospital there in Electra, and a rancher, and comes from multi-generation Wichita County family, and got the Bradley ranch out there off Bradley Ranch Road. And Johnny, we had recently in our meetings here, we dealt with a group that you helped get founded and started, a men's program here that came looking for different kind of work with us. So we appreciate your work that you did. You were instrumental in getting those founded and started here, and so we appreciate you very much. But anyway, with that, I'll turn it over to you, Johnny.
Thank you. Would you pray with me this morning? Our Heavenly Father, I just come to you today, Lord, just to tell you that I love you, and I am so thankful for the blessings that you give us. And Father, I pray for the presence of your Holy Spirit to come in this place right now, Father, and so we welcome you. I pray for the leaders in this room, Father, that they would, as your word says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you. So come, Holy Spirit, and lead us today. In Ephesians, your word says, make every effort to keep unity of the Spirit. And so I pray that the leaders today in this room, as they seek unity, that they would also have peace and love and tolerance and humility and compassion, patience, kindness, and much needed wisdom in these trying times. In Romans, your word says that the authorities that exist have been established by God. And so I pray today that your son Jesus would be their example and their model, Father. He was a humble servant that served the people. He came to serve and not be served. Father, I pray today that we would choose to see through your eyes today, that we would seek your values, your standards, and that we would display your characteristics. And I pray that in this room today that a revival would spring up, Father. And it would change this building and the city and the county and the state, Father, and a revival would sweep across this nation like a rushing wind. And I pray that as a nation and a people we would turn back to you, Father, our heavenly, loving Father. I know that this can happen, Lord. 1 Corinthians 2:9 says that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind can conceive what God has prepared for those who love him. So I ask that you would just bless us beyond our imagination as we seek your face today, Father. I pray for everyone in this room. I pray that you would bless them and bless their families. I pray these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you very much. I'll join in pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Judge, I was going to tell Johnny that we knew that those guys that came up in that group that you'd helped find, we knew they were on the up and up because they knew about the rattlesnakes in the cellar. Yeah, that's it.
Well, Johnny, we appreciate what you pointed out there. Probably is where our country is right now. We have turned away from God, we live in our wicked ways, and as it was taught to us from the Old Testament on, that isn't always the way to live.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing me the chance. I appreciate it.
That was one of the best prayers I've heard.
It was. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're down to the part of the agenda for public comments. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make any comment? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'd ask the court to take action or cite out those items for additional information.
Very lengthy consent agenda, Judge. I'd make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I second that. Just word of clarification on item number 8, the sales tax for 839. The reason I'm asking or seeking that reimbursement, that was an emergency purchase. It was only means of making that purchase after reimburse the sales tax, but I had absolutely no other option in making the purchase that evening.
I think since he violated the rules, he ought to just pay it out of his own pocket.
Even though he kept the jail cooler by doing those cans and doing that, yeah.
I think there's something fishy going on there,
Well, you know,
Judge.
Commissioner, if you really committed, you would hand him the 830.
I'd just give him a $10 bill, but I'd want $5 in change.
We don't have any change, we don't have any coins, we'd have to be.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'll forgo the 39 cents.
Any other questions of clarification?
How did the window get broke in the juvenile detention? By the storm?
That was a storm
Yeah.
damage.
By hail?
Oh, yeah,
Mark?
Hail and wind.
okay. No, maybe that's when you stepped out, we went through that list of damages the other day, but that was in those damages we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Muller, a second by Commissioner Beecham. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item number 1 on general business is review and approve the regular bills for payment.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions on the bills? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss or take action on award of the bid of financial institution for $4 million. Commissioner Watson, Mr. Waller, I want to.
Yeah, Judge, I've visited again with Stewart on Friday. I'm waiting for the payoffs on those. He was going to put those in a spreadsheet and send them to me. I just encouraged him again on Friday to do that so I could show you what that difference is in average interest rate and where we're dropping down to at a 1.95, Willie, correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
With Texoma. So it's going to be considerable savings from where we're at, especially with the large Pilgrim note as well readjusting. So, but I don't have that total amount of savings yet compiled.
I prefer we had the whole story on that. What's there certainly gives us good information about the due
What-
diligence and things.
What is our timeline, Willie, on
What?
how long do we have on accepting?
interest rate good for?
I don't know as ahead of time or not,
Oh.
I
but
don't think so, no, it's also.
Well, I'm pretty sure that when the market moves, they're gonna have to move too. We gotta get it tied in.
I wrote up an analysis of the effect of that, accepting that loan and paying off the Pilgrim note and the 16 lease purchase agreements. The effect it has and the estimates on the payout of the balance of those leases and notes. So we've got that. There are several advantages to it. One being savings in interest rate. Another is putting the precincts in better position on their next trade backs of the machines they have. So it's up
What
to
was the
court.
difference, Willie? What did you calculate the difference to be just using the estimated payoffs?
Well, in the interest, you save over $100,000
Annually?
compared to what the interest you can pay on the Texoma Community Credit Union note. And
Well, in paragraph 2 is where you explain that. Isn't it?
pardon me?
Paragraph 2 in the support document.
Yes, sir. So, I would say, request the court to consider accepting the Texoma Community Credit Union offer of 1.9% for $4 million, and then take action to give notice to the financial institutions of our intent to buy out the notes and the leases. It's up to the court what you want to do.
Do we only want to do the amount needed, Willie, for payoff?
Well, my calculations is that there will be some excess in the $4 million that we can apply to our other commitments on paying back the debt.
So you say retain it then? Go ahead and exercise a full $4 million?
I think you'd be better off doing that, yeah.
That would be to maybe do the sheriff's vehicles, is what you're saying down there?
Well,
No, that note's at a
the
lower
surplus
amount.
will help cover that note for postal note for the sheriff's vehicle.
Oh, that's right, it's already at a lower interest.
Right. It's lower than the one we're talking about. It's a 1/7.
I said it was at 2, but is it 1.7?
Of course, the exact figures will be the ones submitted by the financial institutions.
Right.
So that's a wise move to have Stuart draw that up for you. See how they compare with what I've estimated. But my estimation is for a payoff at 1 September, so I don't know what Stuart's estimate will be paying it off at. There'll be a little difference there, I imagine.
Well, it might be, listening to Mr. Wall's suggestion, go ahead and approve this, because we've got it within, a reasonable ballpark. It's not wide open, and there is going to be a savings, $100,000 plus.
Right.
It's certainly worthwhile. I think we ought to go back and look at that. I'm not sure why we would want to have any excess money. Let's say we only need 3.9. Why would we want to go ahead and borrow the full $4 million?
And Willie, your ideal with the 600,000 surplus is to do what with? What is your,
Spread it out to pay off the debt so that you'd have a lower debt tax rate by a fraction of a penny.
So use it to reduce the other debts? So,
Yes, sir.
what are we going to have left out in this?
well, nothing but the sheriff's vehicles
The
and,
latest
No, the ones that will be left will be the jail bond, which is the big one, then the Wells Fargo note, which is non-callable, you can't pay it off early. The postal note, and we'll pay off the Pilgrim note and the leases, so we'll have the payoff of Texoma Community Credit Union starting in 2021, and that adds, that payoff is $1,038,994 for 4 years at the first of the year. So the term is about 3 years and 5 months.
But this does clean up all the outstanding leases, does it not, Willie?
It does.
It does.
Now, Willie, explain to me what's under item 4 there on the front page. What are the 3 R&B leases?
It's the ones that you entered into with Stuart Cobb this year.
Shouldn't we do them as well?
They're in there.
Oh, they're in our,
They're part of the 16 leases.
oh, okay, okay.
Because that's the highest interest rate of
Yes.
4.75%.
Yes, and they're non-tax, yeah. Or they're
They're
taxable. They're
non-bank
taxable.
qualified.
Non-bank qualified. Yeah, because we'd ask them to do that. Okay,
So other than the jail, we then have this combined lease plus the Wells payment plus Wells Fargo, and then on the postal note for the sheriff's vehicles, that's it. And if there's some other money, I'm thinking the projects we've got lined up, we said we were gonna do.
right.
That might come into place there, that we would need that money.
That's a good idea, Judge. It'd help on the elevator or whatever at a decent rate.
In that remodel that we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
In the north wing and in the sheriff's department's old area. Well, there was a time that we talked about the sheriff keeping an office down there, but have y'all talked about that anymore? Y'all keeping that space you're in now or not? Can you see?
I think Mark had talked about there was gonna be an office kept over in the CID area. Now, whether or not the sheriff's gonna keep an office there, I don't know.
Well, the only, we would have it for, I thought, transport. and
Transport will work out of the holding facility down in the jail.
Okay.
So
And
we don't
then,
have courthouse security, would have an office.
Okay. All right. So other than that, he and I talked years ago about thinking that was a good idea, but I think, quite honestly, considering the other needs for that space.
Yeah. I think if the plan was maybe leave an office there in the CID area, where it's now, for the courthouse security, we had to have an office, and the sheriff would have an office in there too.
You need a bigger space than what security really utilizes right now, right?
Yes, they really don't have an office.
And I guess that office goes away with the elevator too, doesn't it?
Part of it.
Kind
Yeah,
of encumbered and it's already.
We've got,
Could we give them the records room?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Could we give them the records room?
no, we're gonna give them part of it. We've got some drawings.
Yeah, he's got some plans worked out that will work for us.
Part of that records room will be part of the new elevator deal, wouldn't it?
Just a fraction. There's gonna be a new hallway through there. Where the record room is now will end up being law library.
Well, Judge, I'd make a motion, we move forward with $4 million note with Texoma Community Credit Union at $1.95 or
Place
1.9.
surplus amount that into the property improvement fund.
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Any other comments from anyone in the audience?
Can you ask to authorize each signed document?
I'll include that in my motion. Willie, thank you for bringing this whole strategic plan to our attention because I thought it's a smart move and it was the right thing to do, especially we unfortunately are in a time that allowed us to do this with interest rates. So,
Yes. Financially, it's advantageous to the county to take advantage of the low rates that are now
right.
with us, probably for outlast us all. I don't know.
Too bad we didn't start the jail all over again.
Let's tear down, start over.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. And motion carries 5-0. Let's skip down a minute, go to, we didn't do this introduction, but we formally want to congratulate Chief Rutledge on being the new chief of the sheriff's department, number 2 person. Will, we all think that's great. I like the way you all divided your duties. You kept those areas that you kept so well in line. And then you have someone that you want to, some of us have met and some haven't.
Yes, sir, thank you for that. Deputy Chief Patrick McFerrin, been taking over Chief Choate. He has retired his duties in the patrol and other parts of the sheriff's office. He's promoted from lieutenant to deputy chief. I think he spent 5 years as lieutenant, is that correct, or 6? So, and Patrick's been with us for 20 years.
Wow. Big shoes to fill, Patrick.
Yes, I do.
I would stick those feet out there. I think you can do it. The rest of the staff would.
Congratulations, both of you.
Y'all got a great team and always, you know, Will and Daryl moved in there. They strategically did a lot of smart things, and Will stepped up to the jail data curve in a hurry, and so that made it fantastic. And Daryl was such an operator anyway, and we just look forward to more great things. So
Thank you.
good luck, both of y'all.
Okay, let's go down to item number 4, which is discuss, consider, take action with Blue Martin's auto sales quote in the amount of $3,301.70 for repairs at the Sheriff's Office Unit number 93, 2019 Chevy Tahoe to be paid from $0.56 for repair and maintenance vehicles or line determined by the county auditor. And Chief Rutledge told me he was going to initiate Deputy Chief today and let him explain this.
Well, since I'm new to this, what do you want to know?
Well, tell us what happened here. All we see is that. We don't know the circumstances.
Sure. Wichita PD was chasing a suspect. He was failing to stop, and they asked us to intervene with pursuit. What is that called? Pit maneuver. And Wilson hit him with the quarter panel at the right angle. He just didn't spin him. They went into a parking lot. Wilson was able to cut him off, and that's when the suspect hit his vehicle in the quarter panel, which caused the damage that we need to get fixed. This guy was a felon. I'm not going to get into what he did, but he definitely needed to be taken, and he was armed and was threatening suicide, so definitely need to get him shut down. So, I mean, it was a good use for us.
And y'all have created even a plan since then, hadn't you, now for a pit car here, or if it's in decent
Yes, sir.
proximity?
If it's feasible for a deputy, whether they're here or out on the street, to go back to the office and get that vehicle, yes. We have a vehicle here that we're going to use specifically for that. It's an older model. It's got a big brush guard on it, so it'll definitely do the job.
I don't know that you're gonna have time to go swap vehicles in a high-speed pursuit.
But if somebody could be here, that they could call radio out, you know?
Yes, sir.
So.
When you see a guy run out with a helmet on,
Well, those brush guards can make a big difference, put on right, it sure saves vehicle, I know.
Bring the sacrificial lamb.
You're good, Mark.
Motion to approve.
Second.
That old boy didn't have insurance, did he, Deb?
yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about that.
Earlier.
We're addressing that, we're addressing it now.
Right.
They're saying that, I think the latest was, he was not covered at the time.
Imagine that.
Let me get my shot face on that. Call Flo, find out what she said.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Meacham, second by Commissioner Watson, to approve the item as stated. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, favor, same sign, motion carries 5-0, okay. One for one. Okay, go back to item number 3, is open and take action as necessary on the survey of property.
Judge, we had 2 proposals come in. The first one for service is from Rockinay Trucking, and I guess that, well, I'll let you, did they think that was,
Well,
do you think that,
it's a service, so,
well, do you think that might should have been with those others?
well,
Well, they had always
We didn't
bid.
have one on the road material bid.
Yeah,
We
they had
did?
always bid that in the past, and I was kind of surprised that it didn't show up in there, and that might be the deal.
This is for,
it's Holly Rock from either
Yeah.
DeLacy or Ingram, Zach Burkett's, either of their 2 places, and then also in Salvation Industries on the crushed concrete.
That was just hand delivered a week or so ago, so
Do you think that he intended it to be, we don't have a bid, can we receive his?
Well, yeah,
Bid?
it's, the item says services, so.
Maybe he just looked at the wrong,
They have.
Because he's always had that bid in the road material bid,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
always been a standard bid. So I bet it was just misplaced, but it's,
Tracy, you want a chance to review that? Okay.
they've always participated, Tracy, with us. In the past, we didn't receive any other trucking bid for hauling, and a lot of them don't want to dedicate any additional time because it's not anything full-time. It's just periodically that we might use someone. And so our other proposal, Judge, was from Faith Enterprises, and we had reached out to a couple of different tree people to hopefully get some, and I had Debbie call. This is from Steve Sparks.
They list a number of labor services on the back. Supervisors at $25 an hour, laborers at $18, bucket truck at $75 an hour, truck and trailer $25 per day. Wear and repair on tools based on an 8-hour day, chainsaw $12.50, pole saw $37.50, weed eater $10, chain sharpening $6.50. That ought to be in the use of the chainsaw. Unless they got one of those deals off of Facebook, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine didn't work like it did. It's kind of like my golf stuff I ordered like that. It doesn't work.
Well, the truck and trailer deal, to me, that's way underpriced. I felt like that when I utilized them the first of the year and they flat put the work on their flatbed trailers, but that's something they decided to charge themselves, but it's not very much. But it kept mine from being scarred up.
And on the brush and stuff, you all usually have one person out there with a chipper and,
Well, Judge, we haven't even been chipping, we've just been piling. That's what, most everything, we go to a location, that's what the big pile on me is right now, is all the Brogdon, South Coleman, Peterson, Horseshoe Lake Road brush is just piled, and we haven't even been chipping it.
okay, so maybe this winter when things are,
Maybe we can crush it again with the dozer and work it down and let it rot. I talked to the Iowa Park Fire Department, and the chief told me that if they had some training or some different things they might try to burn at a period of time, he'd let me know, but it's not anything that creates a trouble, really.
when we use them, we send the chipper and chip.
Commissioner Harvey has a grapple.
I sure do.
We might want to fix the air conditioner in the tractor, though.
We've chipped before, Judge, out on Horseshoe Lake Road, but a lot of those residents, we blowed it over in some areas outside the right-of-way onto some, well, like Barry had a cotton field out there, and we were able to spread some out, but a lot of them, they think that chip's gonna get in their drain ditches, and unless we actually haul them and pile them, we just felt like it's easier to load the brush and go.
I'd take all of it you bring me. I'd love to have some. Well, you talk about something good on those salted out spots.
Yeah, mm-hmm, it really is.
Man.
Will it absorb some of that?
Yeah, well, it
Decomposes.
decomposts, and then, of course, it rebuilds that soil. It works. Plus, you'll get some weeds growing in it, and most of that salt stuff that we've got, I'm not talking about the oil field damage, but just the salt scalds, that salt water coming up, you can get some careless weeds growing on, it'll use a bunch of that and take care of some of that. But if you gotta get a little something on there for it to get a toe hold in, and that's what that mulch does. It's good stuff.
Do you know that when I was young, Stanley bought a good spreader for me, and I would take material from the horse barn down. We had 2 bad salt skulls on each side of that place on 369, and just within a matter of 3 to 4 years,
It begins to shrink.
it shrunk, and now you couldn't even begin to tell where that was at.
That's good material. Tell you.
Okay, y'all want to take action on the Pike Enterprise for those services?
I'd say we go ahead and accept them as services noted and let us move forward.
Second.
Okay, and then, we'll react on Rocky Trucking after review by council. Any other comments by anyone in the audience on this item? All in favor, signify by saying aye. All in favor, Enterprises. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item 5, discuss certain action to approve cell phone service for Commissioner Precinct 1 to be paid from Fund 221 budget with specific lines determined by the County Auditor. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, Judge, this is in order to ensure that it's stay compliant with open records. Asking for the iPhone 7 at 1 cent and $39.99 per month plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Tracy, do we have any, well, and it may be far more investigation and, but is there some plan going forward that we can, like our county phones for certain, could we, and I don't want to carry 2, but I guess push come to shove and it's smarter, can you opt for a plan that kind of downloads our county text and save them or somehow manage them?
There has got to be, because governments throughout the state of Texas, with the exception of legislatures, are required to hold these records. And so I'm sure that there's some sort of program or process out there. I'm not sure what that is. But there's got to be something. And I don't know if that's through a plan or if that's through some other sort of application. I'm hoping folks in IT can help us with that.
Well, and let me ask you, is it conceivable if we have typically always used our personal cell phones, which we pay for, but can you have a county phone that you forward to your personal phone, but all the information that, or does text forward even? I mean,
I think those are all that's IT stuff, and that's probably phone carrier stuff. Of course, we have a long-term contract with U.S. Cellular, and when I questioned Sarah about it, it didn't seem like a foreign request to her. She felt they had ways of doing it. The problem is those of you that maintain private carrying and do county business on the phone, then some of them may only have a retention time of 30 days. One of the things that Ms. Jenny's not talking about is looking at the Texas Library and Archives records retention policy and seeing how it addresses, because that's what our official records policy is what they said. That's been standing for 20
And-
years.
Well,
See, I just did mine on the request that we've got pending right now, and it went back and picked up a 2017.
wow,
tax,
see, mine,
which- So I think, I would assume,
So, probably in a perfect world, or as we receive those communications, they would be forwarded to the county's repository to be held for the time period, and that retention policy would kick into place. And so, again, the technical aspects, Commissioner, I'm sorry, I don't know.
so ever so often before they would delete, we would forward them down into the county
Well, not.
archive.
In my perfect world, it'd be immediately, that information
Oh,
would
is it?
be
Oh, wow.
communicated, so there wouldn't be.
it'd be like flowing through our server, Barry, where it's retained
And I
somehow.
had no idea until I got involved in this
Yeah,
deal.
I tried to do what you did, and
Yeah.
then I called my provider, and they
Yeah.
told me, you know, I don't pay for the plan for that data storage, and they could receive the phone numbers, but they couldn't do the data of the text.
Yeah, well, these are texts and they're word for word, so I didn't know until we did this.
Who is your provider?
It's Verizon, I believe.
See, that's who I have.
It's Sherry.
Yeah, whatever my wife.
Oh, okay, okay.
She doesn't.
Same here,
She
don't
doesn't
feel
let
old.
me deal with things like that, so, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I'd have to ask, I'd have to call to ask, but I don't know, that's, well, for me, that worked out a lot better than what I thought it was gonna be Friday when we were having this discussion, because, I mean, you just did it and there it is, and that's good, but
But see, I tried to do that on my phone with no result. And you can do it on your
and
phone.
these are not texts to the individuals mentioned, it's just anytime they're mentioned.
Oh,
So it's text back and forth amongst us or something else, and that, if that name's mentioned, it pulled it up, so, that's, and we want that too, do we not? If there's a mention, that's what I was thinking. I don't have any direct contact, but it's just a
Yeah.
mention in the conversation
Yeah.
somehow, so. But it pulled it, so that's good.
So, Judge, do we have a motion and a second on this? I'm sorry, I got all involved.
On the,
On this number 5?
yes,
Yeah,
Thank
you
you,
do.
I'm sorry.
we hadn't voted on it,
The Commissioner, if you had a county cell phone, you could talk to yourself.
well, yeah, uh-huh, that's right.
Or some of us do anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a motion by Commissioner Muller, a second by Commissioner Deaton. I don't know if we're gonna have something else come out of that. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0.
We're gonna know a whole lot more about this in a few months.
And Mark, you're gonna keep your personal one too?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my personal. I'll
So
just
once
do-
you get your new one, we can try it out and see
Yeah,
some of the.
see how it all works, so
Yeah.
I'll be the guinea pig.
All right, item number 6 is discuss, consider, take action to approve the county treasurer's investment reports for February through June of 2020 and authorize county judge and commissioners to sign the affidavit certifying compliance with local government code, section 114.026, parentheses C, for February through June 2020.
Okay, guys, we've not had a TSG report since February, and it goes kind of like this. And it's, I'll tell you, it's really helpful to have any kind of overall picture of where we are financially. I don't know how you make decisions without it, but that's the reason I put this together for you. This gives you an idea of kind of a thumbnail of where we are financially. And in your folder there, you've got February through end of June. And just the real quickie is right now in our, really our major operating accounts, we've got 62 million, almost 700,000. And that includes TJPC, And then on our jail account, at the end of June, we've spent $46,454,281.04. Commissioner Beauchamp and I put together a deal last Friday. We've made $2.8 million in interest. And let me remind you, because we were doing our own investing here in Wichita County, we saved probably $1 million on investment fees. Even figuring that is 50 basis points, which is pretty conservative for financial investors, usually 1%. So we're saving a lot of money, and I want to commend Mr. Wall on what he did, finding that money out there at Texoma. Really did a good job on that, 195. Here's where we are debt-wise. And you were talking about that the other day, and I thought, well, I better.
Thank you.
I miss Judy Malone. She provided me with all that. As you can tell, as Willie's already pointed out, we can't do anything about our Wells Fargo, but that Pilgrim was $375, if I remember it off the top of my head. So we're borrowing $4 million and paying off our debt. It's going to be a substantial savings to our county. And we're going to need that simply because here's where our investment opportunities are right now. This is fresh off the, that's mine, Willie, I gave you mine. Okay.
Bob, on the jail interest,
Yeah,
we're okay up to what kind of number there? I mean, 2.8, that sounds good.
almost 73 million.
Like he's
Are
talking
we
about
getting
before
close
would-
though? I mean,
Before we would hit penalty for arbitrage.
Oh, we're a long way off from
Yeah.
arbitrage. Yeah, we're a long way.
so we're good shape there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not close to that.
But it has to be invested in that project, isn't it?
And
That's
it's been
all-
invested.
That's all qualified money.
Yeah.
So everything that we have in that account has to be spent on that deal.
That G2
So-
inclusion ate up the
That-
majority of
That
that.
gives you an idea, though. Most recent agency paper, as of last Friday, even Farm Federal Credit, which was usually good stuff, 5 years at 0.69.
Mm.
Well, there's certain things called market risk, and so we can't afford to get tire paper up or tire money up with paper like that. And just to give you an idea of what I deal with every day, this gives you Text Pool, which is a money situation with a one-day turnaround.
I see a 5.
So
And-
there's some negative numbers here.
0.524.
Yeah.
And then on the backside is 1 year ago today, it's a little over 2%. So we've had a different,
0.05, not 0.5.
we've had a different shrinkage. So, you know, I'm listening to Pastor Hagee yesterday, and he said 10% of Christians vote. I thought that was awfully scary. So we better be out there voting. Now, if you think this is all doom and gloom, that's the reason I brought you a printout on a June of last year. Here's 12 months ago.
Is that gonna be something to celebrate about?
Yeah, it really is.
Last
It's
June,
not
yeah.
bad, Judge.
No, sir, but this June's not.
Well,
Get your heads into it and all that, watch it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, just yesterday, I heard Dave Ramsey say, you can't borrow your way to prosperity.
Yes, I think you're quite right.
And I think he's probably right. I
You
just
can't
heard
give
that
it away to prosperity either.
Right.
You know, it's the
if you look at June a year ago, doggone, I gave mine away again. But anyway, I gave you the numbers, 62 million where we were right now.
Yeah.
Okay, a year ago, we were 61 million, 61,382,000, so. We're still looking like we're doing what we need to be doing.
That we are, the concern is June of 2021. That's,
And I certainly don't take away, you're exactly right there, Ray.
Because of payments due, Judge, is that what you're?
well, no, what is going to be interest rate then, what are our collection rates, what are our defaults on property taxes? I've sent two things to Mr. Snipe asking him to come brief us on this, but
Did I hear
maybe our
right?
two liaisons need to ask you, if not, maybe we did give it a court order to be here, but we do need his input.
Well, I think Commissioner Beecham's won the lottery here because I was ahead of him a year ago and now he's pulled right ahead somehow.
We
Did
were
I
pretty
hear
close.
This morning, is this current, they were talking about a no, what happens when you don't make your payment,
Default.
not default, but if you're a renter and you don't pay your rent, eviction. That there was the eviction somehow was in place that nobody can be evicted for.
That changed over a month ago.
Well, there was something on the news this morning about they were gonna reinstate it or.
Well, they reinstated if the, what is the utility bunch? Their extensions on no disconnect on your electrical.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. And what caught my ear on that is, not that I'm, wanting to pick on anybody that's having a hard time, because we've certainly all been there, but that to me would have a huge impact on real estate and on property values. If you've got a scenario where you're not gaining rent on rental property, that's gonna make it tough to pay your property taxes and everything else. And I knew that had been mentioned back in some of that COVID relief, but I didn't know if that was still in place. They were talking about it this morning. I thought they said they were looking at reinstating that, so. That, of course, the thing of it is, I assume, okay, I can't pay my rent this month, well, but it's gonna be due next month. I mean, I don't know where that gives us any relief, but I look at things from kind of a property tax deal, I mean, and real estate is what that's all about. And if you get in a scenario where that real estate is impacted because of a scenario like that, that would cause concern to me down the road. And I didn't know if that was currently what was happening or not. Hopefully, things will be up and running and going better, but boy, that could be a.
Of course, the thing is, we collected the majority of taxes by January 31st.
That's true.
Before everything happened.
It's the next one.
It's the next one that's the mystery.
But nothing's been mentioned or said or at this point.
Y'all are not hearing anything from the governor relating to what?
Well, I don't think that's within his kingly powers to suspend property tax payments.
But you would have to think that this retail real estate is gonna be impacted. You just have to, because I mean, there's gonna be stores out there that aren't there anymore. And, we hope not a lot, but I think reality would tell you that's probably gonna happen. So and sometimes that's a pretty big part of the puzzle. So,
Well, that's not, we had 3 restaurants.
yeah, we need to get things rolling. We really do. And I remind everybody, not at the sacrifice of anybody's health, but probably poverty kills more people around the world than any other factor.
Yeah.
So never forget that. This economy is important to mental health and to your physical health.
But, like I say, I don't know where we are. It might be interesting to get not only Mr. Smythe's view on it, but Purdue, Brandon, what they're seeing in the number of counties that they deal with. And it may be too early to go make any predictions because we're not in that cycle. They don't start property appraisals until is it sometime in they come out October 1st is the time, but
Yeah, till around the first of the year, Judge, you're right in that time frame, Christmas.
Yeah, because the number is a January 1
January
deal.
1.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be with the roll of the value on January 1.
but they do the appraisals earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, they have to. You can't go do it all in one day, but
because they've got to have notices out by
We had
April.
all those now, so what we're working on right now that's in, for people disputing the value is going on now, and that amount, the county will be worth what we are projecting for 21.
And there'll be a lot of change to that because we're Red Lobster, for example, their taxes already been appraised for this year, and then now we've got a closed building, so.
Yeah. So they'll probably come back in and ask for that, the same thing, with a couple of the others, and, you know, there's some other vacancies showing up where people have stuff rented.
and from what I understand from talking to people in the business, that residential real estate is still a hot item. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, you know, the housing market's blowing and going. I'm worried about the commercial
Yeah.
deal more than it. I think that's where the first hit will come, and then of course it's you know, of course I guess there's always something to worry about. We just need to look to better times. And
Remember the older gentleman from the Metroplex area we talked to about a month ago said he was glad he was no longer, he had friends that had been building office buildings and things based on how the growth. And he said what they're doing now is people will have a storefront, but where it's working out well, people will work from home. So that's going to leave quite a bit unoccupied space.
may not need near the facility.
Pretty
You want
significant
that.
downturn in it.
I don't know.
Almost 3%. You got any questions for me, though?
But Bob,
And I'd be willing to chip in next time we want to buy a mask for Commissioner Harvey. I'll put $1.50 in.
I got one, Bob.
Help my brother out.
It's
You
good.
don't want to wear it out?
It's too little, I said.
Well, I saw him advertising something for all days.
Where tonight?
Or something on one of the
Mr.
late night
Deputy's gonna be
commercials.
visiting your
I think it's for late.
See, Bob, a mask for him is good for the cotton market.
Well, all I know is Karen said I look better in a mask, so I don't know.
I do like your Marine Corps mask.
but
I'm trying to get a couple more of those, and I couldn't get any Army masks either.
Well,
I got the last Air Force mask for a field grade officer that works amongst us.
Well, I'd ask this question, Bob. You've been watching this deal a long time. Look at that gray hair.
Yeah.
You ever seen anything like where we are?
Oh, no.
Nothing to compare it to. That's the problem. I mean, what do we compare it to?
Nothing like this at all. We've always had,
challenges.
yeah, we've always had challenges, but everybody's always pitched in and made it happen. I tell you, I've been overwhelmed the last 2 weekends. It's not the History Channel. I've been telling everybody it's History Channel, but it's Channel 287. They are running a deal on Hitler and Stalin, and stuff that I've never known. But the bottom line is what I'm trying to say is that when you get a group of people that is party only, our knees ought to be knocking. Instead of, we're Americans, and the color of the skin doesn't matter anything. It affects all of us. All lives matter. All lives matter. And we got more serious problems than tearing down statues. But each one of those shows them as young men and how they got together with other guys. And Hitler, of course, created that Nazi party, and all his buddies came in there and started that. Stalin, of course, that's not his name. That's Russian for strong man, Stalin. his real name is, you can't even put it on a name bracelet. But
Lots of consonants.
his mother was a devout Russian Orthodox, and she put him in a seminary. He was going to be a priest. In his senior year, he got involved with what we later called Bolsheviks, and all these guys got together, and downturn in the economy. I mean, the Tsar really did step on his own foot, but he was weak, and he's getting bad advice, and they refused to, all these horrible drought, peasants started drifting into Moscow and all the big cities, starvation. When they couldn't address it, here comes Lenin. He puts Stalin on his right and Trotsky on his left. I'm telling you, you really need to watch this. It was just, I took a whole spiral notebook of notes. It's amazing. Bottom line though was it was, as Lenin said, it's the only thing that matters is party only. Scary.
But you know, Bob, I contend that had I been in that time, I would think that there is nothing, we haven't ever seen time like that time. And it would scare me to death that we'd never come past that terrible, but we did. You know, we were able to, and I think it's important to retain hope and have faith that things can be better and do better, and pray that they are that way, because we came around that terrible situation with both of those terrible fellows, and or more than just two.
But at a huge cost.
At a huge cost.
Yeah.
But are we
He
more like
executed.
them now than we were back then?
Who's going to liberate the United States? That's the scary.
But here's the deal, what those two deals closed with is the fact that the people that had an intellectual background, they saw what both of them were, psychopaths. But when they, they were scared to speak. So they were, first of all, they were afraid they'd be identified as a non-German,
Right.
or a of course, Russia was just a hodgepodge back in those days, but they chose not to speak, and then all of a sudden, when you don't speak, you suddenly disappear. Stalin executed 20,000 Polish officers, and they had pictures. All this is all old pictures and newsreels, and he killed them and laid them all out. And there must have been 50 lines of them all, but he said they were too smart to keep in captivity.
Any similarities of what you just said to the fact that somebody not wanting to run a re-elect President Trump sticker on their vehicle because they're afraid they'll get it keyed in the parking lot?
Exactly.
Is that similar?
I mean,
I've heard that from a lot of different people.
you're exactly right.
And
Be called a racist,
Yeah. No, you don't want to put up with the hassle.
We just got to start speaking up. And this mail ballot deal, my gosh, somebody needs, with authority has to stand up. It's not gonna be a county treasurer.
What is the saying, Bob? Evil flourishes when good men do nothing.
Yeah, that's,
I had an aunt that we buried this last year that grew up in Germany under Hitler and told some fascinating stories. I mean, just unbelievable stories of what was going on and how bad the inflation got. Of course, after the economy crashed and everyone was printing money, boy, does that ring a bell. It's just, I mean, now I'd give anything to have it recorded because I can remember her talking about that, and she's gone now, but I still remember her. And she said, we don't know how good we had it.
oh, this is a blessed country, and just like Judge said, we've let them take the Bible out of our colleges and our schools, and we can't even have prayer. When Judge and I went to school together, he was 4 years ahead of me, but when we went to school together, we had a morning devotional. So I think it's 5 years ahead of me.
Yeah, we did when I was.
You're talking about IQ wise, or?
We still had one.
Could be
when I
6
was-
years ago.
The best news of all this though is we're not in charge ultimately,
Well, we're all in charge.
but we gotta do our
One way or
part.
the other.
We gotta do our part.
Okay, let's see item number 6, we got done with, I need a motion then to approve the reports and sign.
So,
Motion and authority to sign.
thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Watts to approve item 6 as stated. You got a copy? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item 7 is receive an update on the law enforcement center project. Commissioner Beecham.
Milestone week last week. All the sales are in.
Wow.
So, big milestone. Originally planned on closing the building up soon as the sales were all intact or in place, but in discussing with all the trades, there's still some large equipment, ductwork, et cetera, that needs to go in. It would be better served leaving the building open for the time being, so they've delayed closing off that last section for a period of time to allow all the trades to get their bigger equipment in and in place before they finally close it off, just to make it more accessible, easier to build. Parking lot is started. You got one section poured, should be pouring another section this week. It's coming along. They were pulling all the communications, Cat5 and everything last week, so everywhere you look, there's activity in every trade. Tile work in the employee restrooms looks fantastic. Just, again, everywhere you look, every trade's out there working, hitting on all cylinders, so.
Better hurry after what Will told us last week. We may need it.
We'll be in before you know it.
Sounds good. All right, anyone else? Okay, we're down to public comment by anyone. We got another section of that. Anyone? Okay. Commissioner Beecham, anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Commissioner Hart?
Buried Rocky Logan Monday, last Monday. Man, gonna miss him a lot, they work pretty hard. This Saturday, the 25th, 7 o'clock in my shop, coming to 6, we're gonna feed at 7, so just get there early. We're gonna have a retirement, a send-off for Don Farmer. I'd like for you to invite all your precincts, and I'm gonna send out a county email. Anybody that, had contact with Don or dealt with Don and, whatever, would more than welcome to come and say goodbye. And,
Be sure and tell Pat.
absolutely.
Here at home.
Absolutely. So, anyway, having surgery tomorrow. Got that out of the way. You good? So, that's all I got.
You are, or
I am.
are you gonna look better when you finish it, or? No? Okay, we'll just keep saying go. All right.
That's all I got.
Commissioner Muller?
As of about an hour and a half ago, the rock box was running, which is.
We've got armed troops there in the event that.
We'll never make it do it again, Jim.
No, that's
As long
what
as we're
I
standing there, we'll
told,
never
I
do it.
told Kane Dorsey that very thing,
Yeah.
that it probably won't even act up.
It was running good, last contact, so carrying on, and just still a lot of
Will.
work and, maintenance work going on, and, just this time of the year, every time, guys, we've hurt this grass the last few days, and it's gonna get dry, and if we don't have some rain, we're gonna be back in a fire danger deal, and there's a lot of fuel out there, so be careful if you're welding or driving and
Is the
trying to
rock
change,
box still running?
dragging or whatever, just be careful. These fire departments, don't need any practice.
Yeah, Wichita West had a pretty good fire on the
Yeah,
weekend.
we're
I
headed
saw
that way.
that smoke, I wondered what that,
Man, and them Forestry Service people got 4 dozers up here now, and they take them all with fire.
Yeah. The good news is we have had some, a little bit of humidity actually the last few days, which helps some.
Yeah.
But it's
Get you
going,
working out in.
we're gonna continue, my point is, we're gonna continue to deteriorate when we get some rain. Let's don't burn anybody out, it's important. And, be careful.
The rock box is still running.
Yay. It'll never lay down again as long as somebody's standing there. It does do a much better job than an old one.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Commissioner Watts?
yes, Judge, we had traveled to San Angelo Saturday afternoon to unload some sheep, and there was a tremendous amount of dry country. Once we got halfway to Abilene and all the way to San Angelo, it's really starting to get dry, and those people need a rain in the worst way, and things are looking not good. So just hope that they get the moisture they need, and it's really going to be impactful for a lot of them. Cotton's good, but it sure needs a drink, and I think that it's just at a breaking point right now as to hopefully, and it's not conducive to a lot of rainfall this time of year, but hopefully that'll
Maybe we're having our August in July, and when August comes around, it'll be cool and wet, and we have seen that happen.
well, let's pray that that's the case. That's good. And Will, I was going to ask you about, I know there was some thought given when we depart from, which is coming quicker than we think, when we depart the sheriff's office to the new facility, or the concept of additional help here, y'all have talked through that?
We're talking through it now. You talking about as in staffing? You know, we've asked in the upcoming budget for the 2 positions.
Just to give us more feet on the ground here in far as bailiff goes, or?
The deputies that are working courthouse security and the 2 over at the annex, and then transport if they're here. You know, they're only gonna be here when they have inmates here to go to court, and with currently with the Zoom going on in the district courts, we're not taking inmates to the courtroom, so even when.
What would be wrong with that when we're not doing COVID? If we can do away with transportation back and forth to the courthouse by the Zoom deal, why isn't that a standard practice?
No, I think that we'll see a lot of that.
Isn't that a good idea?
Yeah, I think
It's
we'll
got to
see-
take a statutory change.
Yeah, it has required such a change, but I think in the future,
We'll see migrating that direction?
you know, Tracy, what are your thoughts?
Somebody just tear a statue down.
I think, you know, that will be the future of business, and a lot of it, if it's just a plea agreement, they don't have to be in front of the judge or in front of the jury for a trial. I think that's what we'll see.
But the additional help would be at this facility, or will it be at
It'd
the
be
annex?
This facility. Yes.
And then they would share from here to the annex if there was issue, or?
Yes, they would call, the annex needed additional, they would call, and of course, patrol would come too, if it's needed to that point.
Have you and Commissioner Beecham discussed, I mean, are we going to stay on a central door plan at the annex moving forward, even potentially past the COVID troubles? What's the thought there, John?
That's the long-term plan anyway for the building.
Right.
But yeah, I don't see changing that, particularly with the elevator project coming on. I've got, waiting on some quotes right now for a new storefront on that main entrance we're using right now, because the
Good.
doors are falling apart.
Right.
And I think everybody's pretty well got used to that, real quickly got used to everybody going to one door. Of course, the 6-foot distancing has slowed the progress into the building some, with the temperature being taken, but
It's working pretty well.
it's working real good.
Even with the make do right now, but when we purpose design it.
Are they still letting them come slowly into the tax office? They just maintain a certain number in the lobby?
Yes.
Okay.
Which they don't have to do, it's a good idea, but the governor, he says, tax offices would operate as normal. But I think Tommy's done there.
And
All of the outlying precinct, tax offices are all closed. And they've been closed for a couple
And
weeks.
I've been hearing a lot of it, but a lot of that is personnel impacted, right? We have a shortage.
Put out in this news.
Four people down. 3 of them are with the COVID, and one is Pam's mother is broke her hip. Yeah. So,
And Tracy, one of the projects before you came, we remodeled that area where you were at. And I don't know where we're at with Tracy's door locking deal, but it crosses my mind time and time again, and I just feel better if you could see your doors or you could allow access in and out. I mean, right now, I can just come straight into your office, and I thought about that multiple times, and I know
What's wrong with
we
that?
talked about it. Because it's just,
When you come through a secure area, I don't follow it personally.
hey, I think, that we've been 100 years being able to walk up and talk to each other.
you don't walk into you just don't walk straight into the DA's office, and you go,
Well,
it's behind locked
I
doors.
understand that, but you,
Tracy's doesn't have that ability. You can just go straight in her office, and
well, I think that's okay.
it just worries me some because she has contentious situations come up from time to time that are,
Certainly, we don't have any in this office.
well, that just, she's out there a little bit more than the rest of us as far as having to deal with some things that people may not even understand that, what Tracy's office does compared to the DA's office. They assume she is the DA's office.
The rock box broke down as soon as the mechanic left.
Well, hopefully they.
He is on his way back. He left and then did it.
Well, you go to the doctor's office.
I know.
Get there, you feel fine. leave.
You automatically feel better. You immediately feel better.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
4 p.m. this Wednesday, the 30th, I believe it's the 30th, the district judges had their annual choir meeting to set salaries and for their court reporters, and then also for the auditor's office. The auditor has a proposed budget that she's giving them. Commissioner Watson, I saw it briefly, but she hadn't finished it, so that's out there. I'm supposed to be out of town Saturday, but I'll call before then. Great. Pay proper perspective, And Friday morning 10, we have bills review, maybe anybody gonna be absent?
I don't know.
You don't know that, Jeff? Okay, we might give you a line.
Probably all
Okay.
right.
Monday the 10th, I will not be here, so.
He's gonna be out there spending that $8.39.
See, we've created a monster.
Exactly. Monster.
Yeah.
Judge, any update on schools in our area is what you're hearing?
I'm hearing everything. They are supposed to have a session tonight for Wichita Falls ISD, but they're waiting on them. They can plan everything they want, but unless they've got a crystal ball that knows what TEA and the governor are gonna come up with, that they can figure out several contingencies. But that's like, last week I had a call with the mayors and the city managers. We were thinking the governor was gonna come out and announce something on Friday, but he had a meeting that he didn't publicize on Thursday, didn't he put it on? You know, I've checked with Texas Department of Emergency Management. We look at all the places we think the governor's gonna tell somebody, he's gonna say something, and we're not finding anything. There is no longer this invitation comes out to a telephone type.
Why would they stop that?
Well, you're not gonna agree with him, maybe he doesn't wanna hear it. That seems to be my feeling about it. I'm very disappointed in the fact of that method of just, you know, you gotta guess.
Are the numbers still up? I haven't seen anything last
No,
couple
we
of days.
had, yesterday, there were only 8 additional cases reported, no deaths.
So maybe we broke over.
Well, that's one day here, don't go the day before, you don't like it.
Okay.
1 death and 38. So, on the average, we're not doing well. We still have a group of people that look at this and say it's no worse than the flu. But with the flu, you have some good protocol recourse, and right now, you know, it's hard to figure out who lives and who doesn't, who has a bad case and who doesn't, and why. They haven't determined it. And there's a lot of self-appointed experts from Washington to here.
Only thing consistent is the inconsistency.
Yes, very well put, sir. Will, did you get my deal we need to make the city's question on our?
That's all I have, yes, sir.
And can I borrow?
I was waiting for the sheriff to reply and set the date.
You got that?
Yes, sir. All those times look good.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we don't have anything else. It's 11:21 and we're